Hi guys, it's Baba Mori and we need to have a talk. On my meditations, you are probably going to hear some background noise. I have a homestead where I raise guinea fowl, chickens, quail, geese, and ducks. We're also in the woods, so you're going to hear like regular wildlife animal as well. But these roosters, y'all, I can't do nothing about them. We can't mute it out of the audio. He's literally on the other side of this door. He's rude. His name is Bo. He thinks he runs the place. I'm the boss. He doesn't understand that I'm the boss. But, we're working on it. Thank you. Hi guys, it's Baba Mori and I am back with a new meditation. This one was channeled through my ancestors. I even got a name, so I'm doing some research on that. But they specifically want me to call it Muskrat Medicine. You'll find out why in a minute. We're not starting in the garden this time, and we're doing long, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. You got your journal? You ready? Let's go. In through your nose, out through the mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. On the edge of a forest with trees so large and many that what can be seen past the tree line is mostly shadow. You try to see into the forest, and a shadow begins to move towards you, getting bigger with every breath. The shadow begins to take shape, and you can see a body moving on all fours, but with what looks like taloned hands high above it. The shadow moves in and out of the maze of trees until it's finally close enough to see that the taloned hands were actually the antlers of a massive bull moose, who stops just short of the tree line, making eye contact with you that you can't avoid. The moose snorts at you and paws at the ground with his hoof, inviting you to follow him into the forest. And as you step into the shade of the thick canopy, the moose scoops you into one of his massive antlers and carries you off into the woods. You travel between the vastly tall and incredibly wide trees surrounding you. You can't see outside the tree line anymore, and the moose continues forward. You swing through the air from one side to the other in the safety of the palanquin-size antler as you move through this ancient forest. In the shadows, you can see deeper from above, and things begin to move around you, to follow the movement of your guide as he walks unbothered farther and farther into the forest. The shadows tracking you begin to come closer as they follow the movements of the moose. All of your senses are piqued, and you try to see who's following you and your guide. You hear the faint trickle of water in the distance ahead, and your attention is immediately shifted forward. The shadow figures can wait. There's light ahead. The closer you get, the brighter the light, like sunshine in a clearing. Around a massive tree, the moose carries you to a creek, leading to a pool of water, and what looks like a beaver dam that blocks the water from continuing down the stream. The flow of water is almost completely stopped, with only a few small leaks trickling into the tiny line of water cutting through the muddy creek bed and around the bend. The moose stops short of the sun shining through the gap in the canopy above the creek and tilts his head to drop you gently from your seat to his antler. He snorts at you once, pushing his muzzle forward towards the creek, motioning you to check the water. Along the shore, you see what looks like a large rat and an otter had a baby, digging at the dam that kept the water from flowing. The muskrat turns to you saying, "Are you going to help or just watch?" You hesitate to get in the muddy water. You can't see the bottom. You don't know what's in there. "There's nothing in this water that you didn't put there," the muskrat assures you. "This creek is your financial flow, and that dam is made of your fears about money. I need you to help me remove the dam so the water can flow free again." The muskrat says, and you feel the water on your bare feet before you even realize you had been walking towards the pool of stagnant water the whole time. The mud under the water is thick, and you quickly sink up to your ankles as the water rises up your legs with every step. You have to physically pull your feet up and out of the mud to step forward. As you struggle to reach the dam, you begin to think about everything holding you back from your best life. Every fear of lack, every scarcity, every struggle comes to mind with each step forward. Eventually, the water is deep enough to swim, and you begin to float towards the muskrat, waiting patiently on the dam. "I can't start work until you give me the okay," he says. "You have to consent to removing these blockages before anything will be able to remove them." Repeat after me. I, Baba Mori, consent to and request assistance from my highest self to remove this dam of blockages to my financial flow. The water ripples around you as you say this sentence and begins to clear. You start to see the outline of things sitting in the mud on the creek bottom. "We have to pull up all of that before we can start on the dam itself. Dive down and pull up what you can find," the muskrat tells you. So you take a deep breath and dive. The deeper you go, the clearer the water gets, and you can see what's stuck in the mud below you. You reach out and grab the first thing you wanted that you were told you couldn't afford. Whatever it is, grab it tight and work it out of the mud. As you yank at the object, you start to feel your chest tighten as your lungs run out of oxygen. The muskrat swims down to you and begins to dig at the mud around the stuck object. You feel it shift free, and you push your way up to the surface, kicking your legs and carrying your treasure. You take in a deep gasp of air as you break the surface of the water, and in your hands, the object has turned into solid gold. Shocked, you turn to the muskrat. It could only ever be what it was while stuck in one time and place. The mud is that moment, keeping it from turning into something useful. You put the gold on the bank of the creek. "Now back down for more," they say. "We have to clean up before we can let the water flow." As you dive again, you see the dream car that you could never buy, the size of a toy car, stuck nose down in the mud. You sink your feet into the red silt clay beneath you and wrap your hands around the back end of that vehicle. You squat low in the water and push up with your legs, trying to pull the car out, but your feet only sink deeper. Now you're up to your knees in the mud, and you're running out of air again. Panic starts to set in until you feel light scratches around your legs. You look down to see the muskrat digging you out. First one foot and then the other. You yank the toy car out of the mud next to you as you bolt to the surface for air. You can't heal where you hurt. You have to come from above or you'll just get stuck in the moment again, the muskrat says as it surfaces. Again, the object has transmuted into gold as it moved to the surface. You set in on the bank of the creek as a sparkle from under the water catches your eye. That's your self-worth, and there are other things that you need to remove first, the muskrat tells you. So you dive again. You see the sparkle again, but are immediately distracted by a dollhouse half stuck in the mud on the other side of the pool. It's hard to see through the silt floating in the water from removing the other things from the creek bed. But when you get close, you realize it's everything you've always wanted in a home. The aesthetic, the type of building, the atmosphere of the design. Does it make you feel calm or tense to see your dream house? And the feeling of comfort you've sought your whole life sets in as you get closer to this dollhouse. Lost in the details, you are reminded by your lungs that there is work to do. So you swim up, take a deep breath. After asking the patient muskrat for help, they dive before you even finish your sentence, and back down you go. Working together, the dollhouse begins to shift as the mud around it loosens. At this point, both you and the muskrat are digging at the silty tomb around your dream home. Then the earth below you shudders as you wiggle the dollhouse from side to side, sending you, the muskrat, and the house up to the surface with the force of a tiny geyser. Silt mixes with the fresh water as it rushes into the pool. You can no longer see the bottom or the sparkle. How will you find your self-worth now? But as your mind begins to fill with ideas and worry, the water starts flowing over the top of the dam. Excitement fills your body as you watch the water flow into the creek bed on the other side, hoping it'll save you from some work. Turning to find the muskrat, the sparkle comes through the murky water like a beam of light. You immediately dive for it, eyes locked on your target, feet kicking as fast as you can, until your fingers reach out to sink into the silty mud around that sparkle. The stone feels cold to the touch, much colder than the mud or water. With both your hands in the mud, you work your fingers around the seemingly ever-growing stone that you still can't see. Finally, your fingertips wrap around the back of the stone. Getting your grip right, you begin to pull the stone up and out of the now loose mud. Your eyes widen in surprise at the size of the stone, the sparkle, even under the murky water, the weight of it as you swim to the surface one last time. Stepping onto the creek bank to observe this stone of self-worth, what color is it? Is it clear or opaque? Does it have inclusions or unique features? How beautiful and mesmerizing is this stone to look at? This is how your soul sees you, the muskrat says. Now place it on your stomach, just above your belly button. You hold the stone close to your body. No, it needs to touch your skin, the muskrat corrects you. And the cool feel of the stone on your skin sends a jolt through your nervous system that ripples out into the air around you, and the stone begins to sink into your body. Startled, but it doesn't hurt, you watch as it begins to sink into your skin. Maybe it tingles, or maybe there's pressure in your abdomen, but pain is not present here. The stone seems to absorb into your body, atomizing and seeping out into your skin. The color of the stone shimmers ever outward, covering your whole body. Let it in. Surrender to your highest good. See yourself how you wish to be seen in this world. See yourself how the world that loves you sees you. The muskrat says, interrupting your fascination with your sparkling skin. We still have work to do. You remember the dam and turn to swim towards it, the water getting colder the closer you get. As your hand reaches up to grab a branch off the top, your mind is filled with fear. A dense and heavy feeling sinks into your center. Fear of lack, scarcity, embarrassment surrounding money and how much you have of it. The branch feels like it weighs as much as you, stuck to the top of this wall of branches just like it. The despair of the seemingly impossible task sets in as the muskrat reaches the dam. That's not yours, they say. That feeling is not your own. The weight is not yours to carry. If you can't use your hands, use your feet, the muskrat says as you begin to stomp on the branch. Your kick lands at the center point, snapping the heavy branch in two. Repeat after me. That fear is not mine. The weight is not mine, and I remove it from all parts of myself. The weight on your soul lifts, and you feel hopeful about clearing the dam. So you clear the topmost layer, repeating this statement that it is not yours, the weight is not yours. And layer by layer, stomping on branches, picking up the pieces and tossing them on the creek bank, where they dissolve into moss, holding the ground together. Branch after broken branch, thrown on the side of the creek, until the moss was so thick around the pool that it looked like shag carpet, grown from the creek bank itself. This continues until the branches give way to a layer of stones. Quartz, granite, jasper, slate, and tiny pieces of gold make up this layer of the dam, and with it comes the feeling of shame. Specifically, shame surrounding finances, shame about how much money you have, and your general financial security. These hit like a sucker punch to the gut, but by now, you know you have to move through these feelings. Repeat after me. That shame is not mine. This feeling is not mine, and I remove it from all parts of myself. As you repeat this statement, you remove the pieces of the dam, and the rubble starts to shift under you. The rocks that seemed stuck together started to separate and fall away, and you instinctively grab the pieces of gold as they emerge from the moving ball pit of stones that the dam has now become. Tossing them up onto the bank with the other gold, you move from one side to the other, gracefully snatching pieces of gold like a ballerina dancing on chaos. The water is rushing over the top of the dam, at this point making it harder and harder to cross. The layer below the stones is made of mud and leaves, small branches and twigs, rocks and broken dreams. But the water isn't washing them away. It's compacting it more and more, making removing the rest of the dam extremely difficult and dangerous because the flow of water was getting faster as the dam shrank. You have to take the risk to get the rest, the muskrat says. You'll find the secrets and stories meant to keep you from your flow. I can't walk with you here. This is for you to do alone. As they sit on the creek bank and watch you work, you step carefully on the mushy layer of the dam, feeling the speed of the water as it flows by your calves. You reach into the water and pull up whatever you can. With each handful of muck, you remember times of lack, scarcity, embarrassment, failure, refusal to your requests due to a lack of money or budgeting issues. At some point, the memories are no longer yours, but that of your ancestors. The layer of debris thins as you remove ancient parts of the dam and ancient parts of yourself. Now you can feel the slimy mud under your feet again, and the dam is gone. The water is ice cold and rising as it flows past you and around the bend. Your body feels free and light, and you let yourself float in the flowing water. Around the bend, you can no longer see the muskrat or your gold, but you know it's yours, so you don't care. Just enjoy the ride, floating down the river until the creek runs up against a rock wall, and above it, water flows the opposite direction, creating a small waterfall down to a pooling of the creek water before it turns to the right, running away from its now dual sources. This juncture creates a Y in the waterway, and you naturally settle in the swirling pool beneath the waterfall. Staring at the sky between the dark leaves of the canopy, "Enjoy your ride?" the muskrat asks as it pops up next to you. Startled, you set your feet down on solid river stones and turn to see your guide. "Congratulations! You broke through generations of scarcity and poverty programming. Now, You have to make active changes in your life, your behavior. Catch yourself when your old blockages like these try to float back up. Remember yourself. Remind yourself that those ideas and feelings aren't yours. You have unlimited financial abundance, the muskrat says as it points to the bank of the pool where your gold pieces sit in a row, waiting to be claimed. Repeat after me. I have cleared my financial blocks and programming from generations of my bloodline. I claim my unlimited financial abundance. It is mine. I am safe, secure, and sovereign, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. I am cared for by the universe, my highest self, and the collective, all of creation. I have cleared my financial blocks and programming from generations of my bloodline. I claim my unlimited financial abundance. It is mine. I am safe, secure, and sovereign, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. I am cared for by the universe, my highest self, and the collective all of creation. I have cleared my financial blocks and programming from generations of my bloodline. I claim my unlimited financial abundance. It is mine. I am safe, secure, and sovereign, physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially. I am cared for by the universe, my highest self, and the collective all of creation. Float here as long as you want. Take your time coming back to the now and journal what you remember. Don't forget, these meditations can be done regularly for good spiritual hygiene. We want everyone to heal. There is so much medicine to share. Developing a routine of working through these guided meditations will expand you in a way that heals something different each time you go through the same meditation medicine. Thank you for riding along this meditation with me. This was very different than I'm used to, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed channeling it. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my Patreon for a chance to get a free hardcover copy of my book, Baba's Grimoire.